Morning.
What are you doing here, ma'am?
Getting home from work. 12-hour shift. I'm in apartment 4B.
Neighbor says you were using a key card that doesn't belong to you.
This one belongs to me, so does the apartment. Here's my digital lease, and that's my hospital badge.
Uh-huh. Anyone can print a badge these
It's linked
days.
to the hospital system.
They said she didn't belong there. A tired black nurse standing outside her own door, accused of breaking into her own apartment. But what they didn't know is that she wasn't just any nurse. She was the woman who once saved the chief of police's life on the operating table. And when the truth came out, the entire hallway froze. Hey family, before we dive in, make sure you hit subscribe right now and turn on that bell because you don't want to miss stories like this. And drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? Let's go. The hallway was narrow, lined with dull beige walls and humming fluorescent lights. Naomi Carter, still in her blue hospital scrubs, fumbled with her keycard, eyes heavy from a 12-hour ER shift. Her ID badge swung from her chest, the one that read, Naomi Carter, RN, Emergency Trauma Unit. Then, a deep, sharp voice cut through the silence. Officer Garrison, stop right there. Hands where I can see them. Naomi froze, turning slowly toward the voice. A tall white deputy, Michael Garrison, stood at the end of the hallway, flashlight aimed directly at her face. His hand rested on his holstered gun. Naomi, excuse me? I live here. I'm just unlocking my door. Garrison, don't move. We got a report of someone breaking into this building. Her tired eyes blinked in confusion. She'd barely spoken before. Breaking in? I live here. Garrison, yeah? And I live in the White House. Step back from the door, ma'am. Let's not make this harder. The body cam beeped. Behind him, a second officer, Deputy Claire Owens, stood quietly, her expression uncertain. A neighbor, Mrs. Kensington, the one from 4B, peeked out from down the hall, holding her little dog, whispering, "That's the one. That's her." Naomi's jaw tightened. She felt the sting that every black professional knows too well, being seen but never believed. Naomi Carter wasn't a troublemaker. She was the kind of woman who showed up early, worked double shifts, and prayed before every surgery she assisted. Born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, she moved to Denver for a better life. Her late father, Sergeant Elijah Carter, was a Marine, and taught her, you never have to yell to show strength. Just stand. She stood now, silent, calm, and exhausted, but not weak. She'd seen men die on gurneys, watched mothers hold their sons for the last time. Nothing this deputy said could shake her deeper than that. But still, her voice trembled a little as she spoke again. Naomi, officer, I just got off work. I'm in scrubs. My hospital's 20 minutes away. I can show you my ID. Garrison, save it. Anyone can print a fake badge these days. He stepped closer, the beam of his flashlight tracing her chest badge, then her keycard. Naomi raised both hands, feeling humiliation creep up her throat. Naomi, I'm telling you the truth. This is my apartment. Unit 3C. Garrison, then how come your neighbor doesn't recognize you? Mrs. Kensington smirked from her doorway. She moved in a week ago. I told y'all something was off. Always coming home late, looking around like she's casing the place. The deputy's smirk deepened. There it is. Late hours, suspicious behavior, forged ID. Ma'am, turn around and place your hands behind your back. Naomi's stomach dropped. The hallway camera above the door blinked red, recording everything. Naomi, you're arresting me for coming home? Garrison, I'm detaining you for investigation. Now turn around. Naomi, no. Not until you explain. Garrison, don't you talk back to me. He reached forward, grabbing her wrist roughly. Her hospital badge clinked against her stethoscope as it fell from her neck. The sound echoed through the hallway. Owens, Mike, maybe we should. Garrison, snapping, stay out of it, Claire. I got this. Naomi's breath quickened. Every nerve in her body screamed to fight back, but she knew better. She'd seen too many news clips end with a hashtag. Naomi, softly, you're hurting me. Garrison, you should have thought about that before breaking in. He tightened his grip. The hallway light flickered above them, casting his shadow over her, like the system itself. Then came the click, the body cam blinked red. Recording. Naomi's phone buzzed in her pocket. It was her landlord, Peter Lang, returning her earlier message about a faulty lock. She whispered, please, can I answer that? Garrison, no phones. You're not calling anyone. But Deputy Owens glanced down at the incoming call, saw the name Peter Lang, landlord, and her eyes widened. Owens, wait, Mike, maybe let her? Garrison, Claire, enough. You want to take the lead? Go ahead. Or let me do my damn job. He yanked her forward, trying to twist her arms behind her. Naomi cried out softly, the kind of sound that comes from both pain and disbelief. The elevator door opened at the end of the hall. Out stepped Mr. Lang, the landlord, a tall man in a beige coat, holding a stack of mail. Peter Lang, what the hell's going on here? Garrison turned, startled. Sir, please stand back. We're detaining a burglary suspect. Lang, burglary? That's Naomi Carter. My tenant. I just rented her that unit last week. The hallway fell silent. Even Mrs. Kensington's little dog stopped barking. Garrison, confused, she said she lived here. Lang, cutting in, she does live here. She's a trauma nurse at St. Mary's Hospital. You've made a mistake. Owens slowly lowered her flashlight. Naomi's tears glistened under the flickering lights. Not of fear anymore, but quiet fury. Naomi, to Garrison, do you believe me now? Garrison's face flushed red. He mumbled something about protocol, trying to adjust his vest, trying to rewrite what just happened. But then, before anyone could breathe easy, another voice echoed from the hallway, deep, authoritative, and familiar. Deputy Garrison. They all turned. From the stairwell emerged Chief Robert Gaines, the head of the Denver Police Department, and the man whose life Naomi Carter had saved 6 months ago after a massive heart attack in the ER. The chief's gaze fell on Naomi, then on Garrison's hand still gripping her wrist. The color drained from Garrison's face. The silence was deafening. Naomi finally spoke, softly but sharp as glass. You really should have checked who you were talking to. The hallway camera kept recording, blinking red, as the real storm was just about to begin. The hallway fell completely silent. Chief Robert Gaines stepped forward, his deep voice echoing off the narrow walls. Deputy Garrison, he said again, calm but cutting. Let go of her. Garrison's hand twitched. He dropped Naomi's wrist as if it burned him. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. Sir, I thought. You thought wrong, Gaines interrupted. His eyes flicked toward Naomi. Miss Carter, are you all right? Naomi nodded slowly, rubbing her wrist. Her breath trembled, but her gaze stayed steady. She didn't want to cry in front of them, not because she was afraid, but because she refused to give Garrison that satisfaction. The chief took another step closer, towering over his deputy. This woman, he said, voice heavy with authority, saved my life 6 months ago. Massive cardiac arrest. Flatlined in the trauma bay at St. Mary's. You remember that, Naomi? Naomi's lips curved faintly. Yes, sir. You were awake before we even closed your chest. The hallway gasped in unison. Even Owen's jaw dropped. Mrs. Kensington slipped back into her apartment quietly, shame washing over her face. Chief Gaines turned back to Garrison. And you manhandled her in her own building because someone said she didn't look like she lived here? You're a disgrace to this badge. Sir, I was just responding to a call. A call you didn't verify. A situation you escalated. And a citizen you humiliated. On body cam. He pointed to the blinking red light on Garrison's chest. You just filmed your own career suicide. The silence cracked wide open. Naomi stood motionless, her hands trembling. For the first time, she wasn't the one under a spotlight. The power in the hallway shifted. Heavy, slow, undeniable. Chief Gaines folded his arms. Take off your badge, deputy. Garrison's face went pale. Sir, please? Now. The man hesitated, then unpinned his badge with a shaking hand and placed it in the chief's open palm. Naomi watched quietly, her heart pounding. She didn't cheer. She didn't smirk. She just watched, the same way she'd watched monitors in the ER when a patient's heart finally restarted. Calm. Measured. Unapologetically alive. The chief's tone softened slightly as he turned back to her. Miss Carter, he said. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you my life. And tonight I owe you justice. Naomi took a slow breath, her voice quiet but steady. I don't want revenge, Chief. I just want people to stop assuming we don't belong. He nodded deeply. You shouldn't have to explain existence. Not in your own home. Behind them, Garrison's partner, Deputy Owens, finally spoke. Naomi, I'm sorry. I should have stopped him sooner. Naomi looked her in the eye. You could have, but you didn't. Owens looked down, shame filling the space where courage should have been. The hallway began to fill with whispers. Other tenants peeked from their doors, watching as the deputy who had shouted moments ago now stood speechless, stripped of power. Naomi, the woman they had overlooked, now stood at the center, still, strong, glowing under the same harsh light that once made her flinch. Chief Gaines placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. If you need anything, Miss Carter, security assistance, I'll make sure it's arranged. Personally. Naomi nodded. Thank you, Chief. Then she turned to Garrison. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. The man who had called her suspicious couldn't meet her gaze. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper, but every word struck deep. You looked at me and saw a problem. Not a person. You didn't see a nurse or a neighbor or someone's daughter. You saw a threat, just because I was tired, brown, and standing in a hallway you didn't think I belonged in. He tried to respond, but she continued. Do you know how many men like you I've treated in the hospital? How many times I've saved a life without asking what color their skin was? You humiliated me, officer. But tonight isn't about me being angry. It's about you realizing how small you've been. She turned back to her door, slid in the keycard, and opened it quietly. Then she looked back over her shoulder, eyes soft but fierce. I hope next time you see someone like me, you remember this hallway. The chief nodded once more before escorting Garrison out. Deputy Owens lingered for a second, whispering, I'll file the report myself. Naomi said nothing. She just closed her door. Naomi leaned against the door, breathing hard. Her hands trembled. Her stethoscope still hung from her neck, a reminder of who she really was even when no one else saw it. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Chief Gaines. Chief Gaines, just reviewed the footage. It's already being submitted. You have my word, this won't happen again. Naomi set the phone down and sat on the floor, exhaling deeply. Her apartment was still half unpacked, boxes stacked, bed unmade, a single framed photo of her late father on the counter. His eyes in the photo looked kind, firm, proud. She whispered, I did what you taught me, Daddy. I stood. The city outside was quiet, but online the footage was already spreading like wildfire. By morning the headline would read, Deputy suspended after wrongfully arresting black nurse who once saved his chief's life. By sunrise, Naomi's story had already reached local news. Reporters stood outside the building. Cameras flashed. Neighbors who once ignored her now offered coffee, apologies, and nervous smiles. But Naomi didn't crave their pity. She simply walked to her car in silence, shoulders back, hair tied up, hospital badge gleaming under the morning sun. As she got in, a young black boy from the building, about 9 years old, ran up. Miss Naomi? My mom said you're a hero. Naomi smiled. A hero? Nah, baby. I'm just someone who didn't let fear win. He grinned, then asked quietly, Did they say sorry? She paused, looking down at him. They don't always say sorry, but they learn. Eventually. The boy nodded thoughtfully. I want to be brave like you. Naomi placed a hand on his shoulder. Then promise me something. When someone tells you you don't belong somewhere, don't argue. Just show them why you do. Later that day, Naomi returned to the hospital. Her co-workers gathered around her, showing the viral clip on their phones. Girl, that was you? One nurse gasped. Naomi smiled faintly. Yeah, that was me. The head doctor, Dr. Alana Pierce, approached her quietly. You handled that better than most would've. You didn't lose your cool. Naomi replied softly, When you've seen as much pain as I have, you learn, anger doesn't fix people. Truth does. The room fell silent. Naomi looked down at her trembling hands, the same hands that stitched wounds, calmed hearts, and saved lives, and whispered almost to herself, They tried to make me feel small. But I remembered who I was, and that changed everything. Dove closing scene. That night, Naomi stood on her balcony overlooking the Denver skyline. The city lights shimmered like distant stars. She held her father's dog tag in her hand, turning it over and reading the engraving. Carter, stand in silence but never in shame. She smiled, a quiet, tired, beautiful smile. The world outside was still unfair, still noisy, still raw. But inside her, peace settled like dawn breaking after a storm. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Because stories like Naomi's deserve to be heard. And here's the question for you. Have you ever been judged by how you looked before anyone knew who you were? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And remember, standing silent doesn't mean you're weak. Sometimes it means you're winning.